This can't be right, Maya muttered, staring at the data displayed on Vaxel's alien tablet. They sat close together on the lodge's balcony, their shoulders touching as they reviewed information that had arrived via encrypted transmission from Vaxel's superiors. All evidence points to the same conclusion, Vaxel replied grimly. The trafficking network isn't just a criminal enterprise, it's being facilitated by officials on both sides. The screen showed transfer records, security clearances, and transport authorizations that could only have come from high-ranking individuals within both Earth's government and the Galactic Alliance. Director Hawthorne, Maya said, the name of her own supervisor appearing in several key documents. He's been redirecting our investigations for months. I thought he was just being cautious about resource allocation, but he was protecting the operation. Vaxel's hand covered hers. My direct superior, Commander Kelth, appears equally compromised. These authorizations for biological research specimens bear his encryption signature. Maya stood abruptly, packing the balcony. We need to report this. To whom? Vaxel asked. If our superiors are involved, the normal channels are compromised. Inside the lodge, they could hear the children engaged in a game Vaxel had taught them, something involving harmonizing tones that seemed to bridge the communication gaps between species. The sound of their laughter and singing made the betrayal feel even more profound. What about the transport ship coming for the children? Maya asked suddenly. If your commander is involved. It might be a trap, Vaxel finished, his expression darkening. We need to leave immediately. Within an hour, they had mobilized the children and essential supplies into 3 Earth vehicles Maya had procured through contacts who owed her favors. As they drove through the mountain pass, Vaxel explained their new plan. There's a hidden outpost 300 kilometers north, he said, his hand resting on Maya's shoulder as she drove the lead vehicle. It's maintained by a resistance group within the Alliance, those of us who oppose exploitation of non-integrated worlds. You're essentially going rogue, Maya observed. Vaxel's fingers tightened slightly on her shoulder. We both are. Your career will be over once Hawthorne realizes you've helped me. Some things matter more than careers, she replied, briefly covering his hand with hers. They drove through the night, the convoy of alien children following a rough mountain route that wouldn't appear on standard surveillance. As dawn approached, Maya pulled over at a viewpoint to check their progress. Vaxel joined her outside, his tall figure silhouetted against the lightening sky. Second thoughts? He asked quietly. No, Maya said firmly, but I am wondering what happens after, to the children, to us, to whatever this is between us. Before Vaxel could respond, a flashing light on his wrist device interrupted them. His expression transformed into one of alarm. We've been tracked, he said tersely. Orbital scan just picked up our location. How long do we have? Minutes at most. They rushed back to the vehicles, alerting the older children who were helping care for the younger ones. As they prepared to move out, the sound of approaching helicopters echoed through the canyon. Too late, Maya said, drawing her weapon. We need to make a stand here. Vaxel pulled her behind the shelter of a large boulder. Maya, there's something I need to tell you. Now, she asked incredulously, checking her sightlens for the approaching threat. Yes, now? His 6-fingered hand cupped her face, turning it toward him. In my culture, when we find someone whose spirit resonates with our own, we call it astrobonding, a connection written in the stars. I've never felt this with anyone before. Maya's heart raced, not entirely from the danger. Vaxel. If we survive this, he continued, his silver eyes intense, I want to explore what this could become, regardless of the obstacles. The noise of the helicopters grew deafening as they appeared over the ridgeline. Maya pulled Vaxel down, their faces inches apart. When we survive this, she corrected him, not if. Then she kissed him fiercely, a promise and a declaration. As they broke apart, the first shots hit the ground nearby. But instead of taking cover, Vaxel suddenly straightened, looking skyward with an expression of disbelief. That's not an Earth vehicle, he breathed. Maya followed his gaze to see a massive ship materializing through the clouds, dwarfing the helicopters that now scattered in confusion. Friends of yours? She asked hopefully. Vaxel's face split into a genuine smile. Better, that's the Resistance flagship. Someone in the Alliance received our evidence transmission and sent reinforcements. As the ship descended, creating a protective barrier between them and the approaching forces, Maya gripped Vaxel's hand tightly. Does this mean we get to take the fight to them? She asked. Vaxel nodded, his expression both fierce and tender as he looked at her. Together. 3 months had passed since the confrontation in the mountains. Maya stood on the observation deck of the Resistance vessel, watching as the blue-green planet came into view. Lyria, a world in the neutral zone beyond both Earth and Alliance jurisdiction. Beautiful, isn't it? Vaxel said, joining her at the viewport. The atmosphere is compatible with 90% of sentient species, including humans. It's perfect, Maya agreed, leaning into him as his arm circled her waist. The past weeks had been a whirlwind of activity, providing testimony to the Alliance Council, working with sympathetic Earth officials to expose the trafficking network and determining the fates of the rescued children. Some had been reunited with distant relatives or clan members, but 23 remained without homes to return to. Ambassador Telnar just confirmed the land grant, Vaxel reported, showing her the official documentation on his device. 1,000 acres surrounding the northern lake region, recognized as sovereign territory of the Stardust Sanctuary. Maya smiled at the name they had chosen together. So it's really happening, we're going to build them a home. Not just for them, Vaxel said, turning to face her fully. His silver eyes held a question that had hovered between them since their escape from Earth. The Council has approved my request for permanent assignment to the Sanctuary Project. And my application for interspecies residency, Maya asked, her heart quickening. Approved, he confirmed, his 6 fingers intertwining with her 5, a gesture that had become intimately theirs. Though they were quite curious about why an Earth immigration officer would want to leave her planet permanently. Did you tell them, Maya teased. Vaxel's expression softened. I told them what they needed to know, that you had formed meaningful bonds with the children. His free hand traced the curve of her jaw. I kept the rest for us alone. The ship's announcement system chimed, indicating their approach to the landing zone. Below them, the temporary dwellings established by the advance team gleamed in the planet's golden sunlight. They're waiting for us, Maya said. During their absence, the older rescued children had been helping prepare the settlement under the supervision of Resistance volunteers. As they descended in the shuttlecraft, Maya could see the children gathered in the central clearing. The moment they touched down, little Kiri, the transparent-skinned child who had first built them a nest, broke from the group and raced toward them. Vaxel knelt to receive the child's exuberant embrace, and Maya joined them, completing what had become their family circle. One by one, the other children approached, each greeting them in their own way, some with touches, others with harmonizing sounds or fragrant emissions that signaled joy. Welcome home, said Nyx, the oldest of the rescued children, now a lanky teenager with scaled skin that shifted colors with his emotions. Currently, he glowed a warm orange of contentment. We've completed the living quarters as you instructed. They toured the settlement, simple but functional buildings arranged in a horseshoe pattern around a central gathering space. The architecture blended elements from various worlds, creating something entirely new. This will be your dwelling, Nyx explained, leading them to a slightly larger structure set slightly apart from the others. We took the liberty of incorporating traditional bonding elements from both your cultures. Inside, Maya was touched to find an Earth-style hearth alongside andromedon light crystals. On a handcrafted table stood a small replica of the nest the children had built them months ago at the mountain lodge. When they were finally alone, Vaxel took both her hands in his. There's a custom in my world, he began, his deep voice unusually hesitant. When two beings choose to build a life together, they exchange something that represents their essence. From a pouch at his belt, he withdrew a pendant of swirling silver, the exact color of his eyes, suspended on a delicate chain. This contains a fragment of my life energy, he explained. It will warm when I think of you and guide you back to me should we ever be separated. Maya blinked back tears as she accepted the gift. We have similar customs on Earth. She reached into her pocket and produced a simple gold band. This was my father's wedding ring. In my culture, it symbolizes an unbroken bond, a promise of forever. Vaxel carefully slid the ring onto his smallest finger, the only one it would fit. I accept your promise and offer my own. As they sealed their commitment with a kiss, the sounds of the children playing filtered through the open window. Their children now in every way that mattered. Later, they stood together on a hill overlooking the settlement, as Lyria's twin moons rose above the horizon. Do you ever regret it, Vaxel asked, leaving your world behind? Maya shook her head, watching as the sanctuary below came alive with lights against the gathering dusk. I haven't left my world behind, she said, her hand finding his. I've found it. In the valley below, the first permanent structures of Stardust Sanctuary were taking shape, homes for children who once had none. A haven built from compassion and courage, and the foundation of a love that had crossed the stars. Besides, Maya added with a smile, leaning her head against Vaxel's shoulder, this is just the beginning. There are more children out there who need us. Vaxel's arm tightened around her as he gazed toward the stars appearing in Lyria's deepening twilight. Together then, always together. Always, Maya echoed, as the lights of their new home reflected in the darkness like countless stars brought down to earth, like hope made visible at last.